All right, so we are live. I know it's not one yet, but I wrapped up all my other work early and decided to jump on here, test stuff out. I have no idea how many people are going to jump on here. I was going to send it out in the email and I forgot this morning, so that's my fault. And I don't currently have Facebook up to send anything out via Facebook. So if you end up running across this, hopefully you have your email or your YouTube notifications on. Maybe you'll jump in. I'm going to wait for a couple minutes before I get down and dirty into the actual topic of the video, which is the titanium bolt release that we have coming up here in, pretty soon. So that's one of the things. So I'm just going to hang out and wait, and hopefully we get some people to log on. And if not, I'll go through everything as if this were a live stream and a bunch of people were on here. I'll just talk to myself and you guys can watch it on the playback. If you were here for our last one, you may notice some changes in terms of camera angles and stuff like that. I did move some stuff around, and that's going to be kind of the norm probably for the next three or four live streams that we do. We're trying to work things out we have multiple different cameras, multiple different lenses. Hopefully we'll change some of the background. I want to get some bookcases in there and put some different pieces up there, some different pens and other things like that, just to kind of make it a little bit less bright in here. And then, as I said, moving different cameras around, trying different angles. Oh, we got one person on here. Hey, how's it going? So there are going to be some changes. We're going to do some different things. You might notice a different look, a different background, a different camera angle. Ideally, once we have everything nailed down, we're going to have 3, maybe 4 different camera angles. We're going to show off stuff, close-ups, kind of like this one, but a little bit better. A little bit more zoomed in and clear. I have to tune in the different cameras that we do have, stuff like that. So all that different stuff is coming. Again, work in progress. Never set up a YouTube live video studio before, so this is all kind of flying by the seat of my pants in terms of all the hardware and software and what have you. So got about 5 minutes before we get into the whole kicking off the actual information about the pen itself and the release. So you have to bear with me. I got a little bit of something going on with my throat, so I apologize if I sound froggy or if I take a drink. Trying to stay hydrated. I think it's my allergies are just acting up. Happens every time, every year at this time of the year. So, okay. If there is anybody here and you have some questions, we can go over some questions before we get started. Otherwise, I'll sit here and probably mute the microphone for a couple minutes, and we'll go to a little bit of a standby. You'll see the pen itself. I'm actually going to go grab a better chair because right now I'm sitting on a metal stool and my ass hurts from it. So a couple seconds, I'll be right back, and we will start the official live stream right at 1 MST, which is, by my clock, 3.5 minutes from now. Okay, I'm back, and that only took like a minute. All right. Hopefully we don't get interrupted. The front of the shop is open. I'm the only person here. So if I say, hey, I got to take a break real quick and mute the mic and put the titanium bolt up, then you'll know that I had to step out because mailman or FedEx or somebody else showed up. We are kind of working on Fridays right now, and the shipping crew was here earlier today and boxed up and shipped out pretty much all the orders that were placed yesterday and the day before, and some, I think some from today as well. So there's that. Like I said, if you have any questions before we get started, we're going to start here in a couple minutes. Feel free to just put them in the chat. If you don't know how to use the chat, I do believe you have to be signed in to YouTube in order to use the chat. I could be wrong, but when I've used it before on live streams I've always had to be signed in. So if you want to chat, you want to ask questions, try signing into YouTube and we can go from there. Hopefully everybody had a great Thanksgiving if you're in the States, or you celebrate Thanksgiving. Get a chance to, kick back with your family and whatnot. It was busy for me and my family. My daughter is here from college. Her boyfriend's here from Vermont from college. So crazy busy. My wife made a ton of food. I helped make a bunch of the food too. Had a late dinner. Late for us. Normally we try to eat around 3. We ate around 6 or 7. Kind of crashed after that, but it was nice to just spend some time relax with family and everything like that. So hopefully everybody else had a great Thanksgiving and you guys are recovering today. I didn't do any Black Friday shopping. I don't know if anybody else did. I know that's kind of weird, but I did laundry today and worked. So that's my Black Friday. Might do a little bit of it when I get home, but most of it's online anyway for me. Working in retail for 5 years between the Army and working here kind of sapped me on actually going to any store. So I'm not a big Black Friday person. Somebody will have to let me know if there's problems with the video or the audio. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of go as if everything is good. All right, so we are right about ready to start. It's almost 1 o'clock here, my time, and we'll kind of go right into the big announcement. Titanium is here. I know if you saw the Vertex, 13th anniversary Vertex, there's titanium in there, and we went ahead and basically said, hey, the titanium that we put in these pins is from the official titanium release, like an all titanium pin, the first one that we're doing, which is the titanium Bolt V2. That pin, we'll be putting them together starting on Monday, and they'll be available for purchase, hold your breath, next Friday. So basically a week from today, the first batch of tumbled titanium pins will be available on our website. I know it's kind of been one of those long processes where titanium is concerned. We have tons of people that have asked about it. It's the number one question that we get is, when are you guys going to make something out of titanium? If you go back far enough, probably the Bolt Kickstarter, there's probably somebody that asked on that Bolt Kickstarter, hey, are you guys going to make this in titanium? And it's one of those questions that when we got asked, we always were like, well, there was a period of time where we said no, and we probably shouldn't have done that. Never say never, because that's obviously not the case. We are actually making titanium. They're made. They're ready to go. They are, they're not ready to go. They're made. They're all off the machines, the first batch of them. And like I said, we'll be assembling them all starting Monday morning. Inspecting and assembling, although we don't expect to have a lot of bad pens. The stuff that we got off the machine is really nice. So let's get into kind of the whole backstory behind this. As I said, there's a lot of mythology around the titanium itself, whether or not we were going to use it. if you go back, there's probably video and interviews of myself or other people that used to work here saying, "Oh, we're never going to do anything out of titanium." And honestly, that's probably one of those things that we should have never done. Obviously, it's something that we should have never done. At the time, what it came down to is that we didn't have the machines and the tooling to really do it and get nice, crisp looking parts and a finished product. And as we've grown and Bill has invested more money in the machines that we have and in the tooling, and Josh, our shop foreman, has learned more about how to program and set up the machines, we've become far more adept at using machining out of other material. And so it just came down to the fact that the last time Josh and Bill and myself kind of sat down and talked about things, I think G was there too. We were all just talking about different things, and we were out, what about titanium? It's one of the things that I think I bring up every year during our end of the year meeting. And I know Josh has bugged Bill about it for years. And finally, Bill was like, you know what? We're just going to do it. We have the machines now to be able to do it. We should just need to invest some money in tooling and then take some time to learn how to do it the right way. So we get good pieces, good product, good parts, so that people aren't like freaking out that we have, released a subpar pen. Because that's part of the reason why we don't use specific materials, or we may not use specific materials, is that when we've tested something, or it just doesn't end up looking right. It doesn't meet our quality specifications. And so it's one of the reasons that we took as long as we did to do plastics. It's one of the reasons that we didn't branch out earlier into other materials. We really perfected our process. If you're somebody that's been around and owns some of our Kickstarter pens and now owns some of the pens now, if you take those two pens next to each other, it's almost like they were made by two different manufacturers. They're definitely made on two different classes of machine. And our programs have become much more advanced, and we're putting much more time into tooling and into sourcing material that's better quality from the jump. So the material that we're getting made specifically for us. It's ground for us, just so we can have the best product, the best looking product that we can put out there. And so when we went into it, we knew there was going to be a decent amount of cost involved in terms of figuring out how to do it and do it right. And that we needed specific types of machines. And when Bill started investing and purchased the first Swiss lathe, now we have two of those machines. We have a third on the way, actually. That's kind of a big deal for us. Bill found one recently and purchased it, and it should be here hopefully in the next couple weeks. So we'll end up adding a third Swiss lathe to the shop. With those machines and how advanced they are and the capabilities that they give us, it really opened up a bunch of different options, and the main one was titanium. And so we just kind of knew that was the next step. And so I think it might have been last year, or it was probably around last year at the end of the year, where we did our wrap up, where Bill and Josh and myself sat down, and Bill was like, hey, this year is the year we're gonna dip our toe into titanium. We'll have something by the end of the year. And it has taken us that long, it's taken us that long to kind of get the product, get the raw titanium, do a lot of testing, figuring out the different tooling. That's the big part. It took us a long time. It took Josh a long time to figure out the right tooling for the job. It's very, very intricate. There's a reason that titanium is as expensive as it is, not just in the raw cost, but also in the tooling that you have to invest a lot of time and money into. And then there's time in machining, because it takes a lot longer for us to machine one titanium pin than it does to machine an aluminum pen. Dramatically longer period of time from start to finish. You can't machine titanium too fast because it can start on fire, and even though we use coolant to hold that off, and they have fire prevention systems on our machines, we really don't want to run into that. And we did run into that one day. Josh was trying to do something with one of the machines with machining it, and it caught on fire a little bit. Luckily, nobody was hurt. The machine wasn't damaged, anything like that. But it is something that you have to be really particular when you're machining it. And so it's just one of those things where it has taken us a process for us to get to the point where we now have the first production run of titanium bolts available. And that's the other reason that we kind of are releasing it now instead of earlier in the year. We wanted to release the bolt as the first pen made out of titanium for a couple of reasons. One, the bolt is our most popular pen by huge margins. And two, it was the second pen we ever made, the first being the Render K. The Render Ks weren't on the schedule this year to even machine. So when it came down to looking at the schedule, it just kind of made sense for us to launch titanium in the bolt. And so this last 3 months have kind of been the period of time where we've been doing full production runs of the bolt, aluminum, brass, copper, doing all the different grip section options, testing out the dragon skin, all the different things like that. So it was, it just kind of came down to now was the perfect time for us to do the titanium. And it went a lot faster than we thought it would. We actually didn't know if we were going to be able, once we got started, we didn't know if we were going to be able to do it, to get them done by the end of the year. But they're here. All right, so let's get into some of the specifics behind the titanium itself. I'll give you all the specs that I have on it and everything like that. We are using grade 5 6AL4V titanium for the pen, and that's just kind of the standard of what you want to use for a pen to make sure it holds up. There's other pens that are made out of grade 2, some are made out of grade 9. We had a lot of questions early on by people that were asking us, "Hey, are you going to get into titanium? And if you do, please use grade 5." And so we went ahead and did that grade 5. The lower barrel, upper barrel, and the knob are all made out of titanium, which we've then. It's a 2-step process. The majority of the pieces come off of the lathes. The upper portion actually is drilled and tapped for the clip on a mill. So it's a 2-step process. We have to move those to a different machine to get that done precisely. It's just easier that way. We can do them. We can gang load them and do them in bulk. So we went ahead and did that. Doesn't change anything. And then the finished processes, the finished products, the parts are then sent to our tumbling station where we tumble them for about 6 hours. All the parts get tumbled for 6 hours just to give a nice uniform look. They feel freaking amazing. Like, I've not been a huge titanium fan in the past. I am definitely a titanium fan now. I love the way they feel. They look great, but they actually, the weight of it and the way the tumbled titanium feels in the hand, it's just a great writing experience. I tend to use a bolt at my desk all day long anyway, and this is it's become the one that I use all the time. So it's just really awesome. We are using the stainless steel clips and screws. I know people are going to ask, hey, are you going to have titanium clips and screws? Maybe eventually. That is something we potentially want to do. It's just not in the cards. If we were going to release them this year, wasn't going to happen. We looked at getting our clips stamped, and that was just not cost effective. And we've looked a little bit about getting screws made for us, but that's just not going to happen right now. We're looking at doing some different things with a potential add-on later on down the road with a machined titanium clip. So that might be something you see where we're going to make it in-house and it's going to look a little bit different and use different screws and stuff like that. That will be something if we do get, it's going to be down the road. If you were here earlier, I did say the release on this is December 3rd. So next Friday, we're going to release these on the website. The first production batch will be put up there. Excuse me. It is going to be only that tumbled titanium. So the tumbled finish, we're not going to do a raw finish right now. We're not going to do any anodized colors. If we do that, that's going to be down the road. That's going to be something that we add sometime next year. We wanted to get the first batch out, wanted them to look as similar as possible, and the best way to do that was to do a tumbled finish. So tumbled finish is the way that we've landed. If you're curious about the price point, it's going to be $120. Basically the same price as the copper and bronze. Actually, I think it's $5 cheaper than the copper and bronze. So that's the price that we've landed on for the release on this, for a few different reasons. One being the cost of the material itself, but also just the machining time that's involved in producing each piece, the finished tumbling time, and everything like that. So basically, you know, when we sat down and did all that stuff, that's the number that we landed on. So it's not out of the realm of what other titanium similar pens are. That's kind of around, you know, you're going to see people that sell titanium, that sell aluminum, or that sell copper and bronze. Their titanium is going to be right around the same price as that, and that's kind of where we are at with our pens. That's kind of where it lands. So I don't really have a lot left. We have the production batch is several, I think 300 or 400 pens. So there's a lot of them. This production version, we are going to be potentially doing the modified grip sections. That will definitely be next year. And by next year, I mean sometime likely in the middle of next year. So that's not something that you're going to see real soon, but it's something that you'll see summer, maybe fall of 2022. And we will be doing some anodized stuff as well, some anodized titanium. We are going to be branching out into other pens. So if you're not a Bolt fan, but you'd love to have a titanium, I don't know, ink or EDK, definitely going to see the EDK. It just depends on our production schedule. And I do believe the EDK is one of the pens we're going to be going into production on next. So that will likely be the next pen that we do in titanium. As far as pricing is concerned, on any of those, that's going to be, you know, in the future. We're trying to bring a lot of the processes in-house that we would have done externally that add cost to the raw material. Now, whether we're able to accomplish that or not, I don't know for sure. And there's just stuff with supply chain and issues in getting product and issues in getting raw material right now that we just don't know where we're at where that's concerned. But please know that this is not the last titanium pen we do. It's not the be all end all. We are going to try to do other pens out of titanium. If the Bolt's just not your jam, you know, that's where we're at. So like I said, to wrap up quickly, if you're just kind of skipping through this, watching it afterwards, titanium bolts in tumbled finish, Friday, December 3rd, the day before we have our Karis kickback, where we have the car show in the back lot. We will be launching the first production batch of the tumbled titanium pins on the website next Friday. And they're going to be $120. In terms of any of the other grip section options, dragon skin, fluted, frag, we're actually working on another option right now. It's actually an experimental option. We don't even know if we're going to do it for like into production, but any of that stuff is likely going to be, at the earliest, is going to be towards the middle to the end of summer 2022. Just in terms of our production schedules basically we have to do machining on EDKs and retracts next, and because we're out of stock on those. And so we're not going to be adding any of the grip section options until the summer, sometime in the summer. So in terms of any of the other potential questions or concern you guys may have, I don't know. Once again, YouTube fails to tell me how many people are actually watching. So I did plan to do a Q&A on here. So if you have more questions, go ahead and throw them into the chat. Like I said, I did answer the one dragon skin question. We're not going to have them anytime soon. It's just not in the cards in terms of our production schedule. And we can't really, we've actually already pushed back the production on the EDK and the retract by about 4.5 weeks. We were already supposed to be into those. So we're really not going to be able to get the dragon skin stuff done on the titanium anytime soon. We have to go through, we're actually out of stock on almost every single one of our pens. Like we like to have about 5,000 aluminum pens of our standard fare of it, in the warehouse at all times. And I'm basically out of inks and retracts and EDKs. So all 3 of those pens are going to have to be manufactured. And we've been out of render Ks for over a year now. So that'll have to be squeezed in there sometime too. But we'll probably circle back to the bolts before we do the render Ks. An oversized Vertex with a Bach number 8 nib. We get questions about doing oversized pens all the time. And I am not sure when or if that will be something that we actually do. I enjoy them. They're not something that we've done enough research on to actually see them come to fruition. It's definitely a possibility. It's something that I'd like to see us do. I don't know when that would even happen. If you kind of follow us closely, we've been doing Vertexes since we purchased for about a year now straight, just machining batch after batch after batch after batch of the Vertexes to the point where we haven't machined any resin decagraphs. So we hope to be circling back to resin decagraphs soon. And those 2 pens, having more of those available would be something that we do before we prototype any kind of oversized or a new Vertex or a new fountain pen of any kind, realistically. Although I guess we could potentially prototype an oversized metal pen. That's always something that we could potentially do if we get caught up or ahead on machining some of our metal pens. It's much easier for us to prototype stuff out of metal than it is for us to prototype out of plastic, just because we have more machines that are tooled up to do metal. So I don't know if we'll do oversized anything anytime soon. It is something that I asked Bill that we discuss at our yearly meeting. That's one of the things that I do bring up because I know that there is a market for oversized pens. We just have never landed on a specific date or potentially a pen to adapt to the number 8 nibs. It would be much easier if Bach made the number 8 nibs out of steel, polished steel, stainless steel, for us to make that decision, because the nibs that they do make are only the titanium and the 18 karat gold, and those are extremely expensive and dramatically raise the cost of the pen if we were to do an oversized pen. So that's kind of one of the reasons why we haven't done that as well. So if anybody else has any questions, I am here to answer some questions for as long as you guys want to throw them at me. If I can answer them, I definitely will. Otherwise, I'll do a recap again on the specifics on the titanium, maybe a recap on some upcoming stuff that we're going to be doing in December as well. And then we'll kind of wrap up if nobody has any questions. I'll kind of give you guys a couple minutes to think if you have anything. Once again, I have no idea how many of you are are logged in right now. So it would be helpful if YouTube would actually tell me that, but unfortunately, all it tells me is how many people watch at the same time. It doesn't tell me how many people are actually watching, and I think that only counts people that are logged into YouTube. So all right, nothing else. Well then, like I said, we'll wrap up the titanium. Actually, before we do that, I'll kind of go into some stuff that we have coming up that isn't necessarily releases. The Black Friday specific stuff has all kind of wrapped up today. The coupon code will be available tomorrow and on Sunday as well. We're not running the coupon code through Cyber Monday like we have in the past. Instead, we're doing a couple releases. We have an experimental release where that grip section that we'll be showing off on the EDK, we're going to have some of those available. Real small batch. I think we only have 30 or 40 of those available that are going to be available on Monday only. It's an EDK with kind of like it's a fluted, but it's also got some, kind of looks like drips of water. I don't know, like waterfall type style in brass. Those are going to be available on Monday. We're also going to have like a pocket bundle. It's going to have like a keychain, one of the wedgies, and a battle worn bolt, all for like $75. So all those items together, which I think is like 110 or 115 bucks, all for 75. I think we got like 40 or 50 of those. Those are going to be the Cyber Monday products that we have. And then if you're a fan of the Decograph, the aluminum Decographs, we're actually discontinuing the red, gray, and green Decographs. So those will actually go on clearance on Tuesday, the 30th. I believe that's the 30th. You don't quote me on that. I think it is, Tuesday the 30th. We're going to be discontinuing and marking those three versions of the Decograph down quite a bit. They're going to be close to half off as we discontinue and just kind of get rid of them. And if you're wondering why that is, we're not getting rid of the aluminum Decographs. We're not able to get those colors any longer. So those colors were specifically sourced from an anodizer that no longer provides anodize to us. And they color matched all that product and would get us those colors specifically. And we can't get those colors anymore. So we're going to phase those out. And basically the next batch of aluminum Decographs that we make, we will pick 2 or 3 new standard colors to keep in stock and add those back to the website when we get those done. So that's and then on Friday, we'll wrap up next week with the release of the tumble titanium bolt on the 3rd. Again, $120. We have about 300 or 400 of those. And then if you're in the Arizona area, if you're here next weekend, stop by. Love to have you show up. We're going to have a bunch of cars in the back. We do we're going to do the car show that we did, the Karis Kickback. Bill's going to have his cars. His buddies are going to have cars. There's going to be a whole bunch of cars. Might be some food, definitely be some sodas and water and stuff like that. It's just going to be kind of like a relaxing time. I imagine they'll do shop tours if anybody wants to tour the shop. It's just, we did the first one of these in 2019 before the pandemic. Had a great time. It was a blast. I think it was like 3 or 4 hours long where people just stopped by, hung out, had a lot of fun. And so it was something that we wanted to do again. And we do hope that this will kind of transition into doing the pen meetups again. So next year at some point in time, it's going to be one of the things that we kind of finalize with our year-end planning. We will plan out the pen meetups that we do in 2022. So we're hoping to plan all that out and kind of finalize that and get a schedule of that out as soon as we can kind of get that back up and running. We love having you guys stop by and talk pens if that's something that you're into. It's just one of the things that since we started it, it was kind of one of the things that we really enjoyed doing. Had several people stop in the last month and actually ask us if we were going to start doing that again. And so we do see that there is kind of a desire for that to happen. And so we will definitely kind of get that going again once we nail everything down. But as far as the live stream goes, guys, that's kind of it. I don't have any questions popping up in the chat. That's all I kind of have for this live stream. Thank you for being here again. Hopefully I get better at this as time goes on. I hope to have other people with me at certain points in time. We can talk about different things. That's kind of one of the things that we also want to do. Instead of just you staring at my face or staring at pens or whatever, be able to have the ability to, cross talk between me and some of the other employees that work here, G, our designer, maybe have some friends of Kara stop by, do a live stream with some of them, and just kind of go from there. And we do want to grow this. It is going to be kind of it's better for us to use this method of producing video content, showing stuff off, as opposed to recording something, editing it, putting it up. And while we do hope to have some of that stuff available in the future, this is going to be kind of the way that we do video content for you guys going in the short term anyway. So with that being said, guys, thank you for being here. You can find the Tumble Titanium Bolt on the website on Friday. The link will probably go live somewhere around 9 or 10 a.m. MST. $120. We don't expect it to sell out. Like I said, we have several hundred of them. And down the road, we will have other options available as well. So that being said, I appreciate everybody being here, listening to me, stare at my face this whole time. If you have any questions that you think of afterwards, you can comment on the video as this goes up later on. Or you can always email us at the info box or at paul@karascustom.com. And I will talk to you again soon. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Bye.